In this video, I've got a mystery to solve and a useful new circuit to share. The mystery is about why this large pancake coil oscillator flashes its LED completely differently to how it did for a decade, and the circuit enables counting the flashes of any LED-based flashing oscillator. It uses a microcontroller, and the code is available for free on GitHub at the link on the screen. As a quick overview, this 14-year-old oscillator is called Nephilim Penny, and this is the circuit diagram. It's based on Lidmotor's Penny design from around 2012 and is based on a blocking oscillator. I made my coils as Nikola Tesla type pancake coils rather than using reels of garden wire, two of them one on top of the other, and decided on the name Nephilim because they were apparently the super large giants of biblical times. It seemed appropriate, while Penny is a female name. Anyway, it ran happily for a decade back at our old house. Every 3 months I'd change out the magnesium strip in the container of rainwater, which also had either a piece of copper in it or, nowadays, the salvaged carbon electrode from an AA battery. It also reacted to storm systems, slowing the rate of its flash if a strong storm was less than 5 miles away. That's why I wanted to use it in the previous stormy weather video. Let's see if I can fix it and then upgrade it to show actual storm and running data. I was just working on the software side to this for the LED counter and noticed something with Nephilim Penny on here. Well, if I touch this wire, I hope this frame rate change comes in on the camera, but you can see perhaps it's slowing down and speeding up. I don't know exactly which wire it is. I think it's this one. I'm just touching this wire before. Yeah, I saw that. It's changing about. I think that is behind the problems I've been having. What I'm going to do is to replace all the wires. So I changed out all the wires, checked the back, everything, and then got the answer. It wasn't what I expected. It's now a lot more constant. The reasoning was because of my work table. The computer, the monitor, everything was throwing in frequencies that this thing was picking up on. I did think it might have been the main capacitor down there, maybe because it was over a decade old, something going on that way. But as soon as I picked this up and moved it, the flash rate changed. It's still dirty as anything here, it all needs cleaning up and whatnot, and I did need to change those wires really. But I believe I've fixed this. Right, so now on to the other part of the project. After several false starts, including a photoresistor and a phototransistor, I've ended up with this system, which is actually direct. I'll be showing the circuit diagram later. Well, it's direct except for a 47k resistor you can see on the top there. What I've got is a salvaged and slightly rusty ESP8266 and also a screen, an SSD1306. So the whole idea is to sample into the analog pin of this microcontroller just via that 47k. So the software at the moment is, well, I'm working on it to see what kind of ranges I'm looking at, and then I'll be able to do some decent tests and hopefully get this running. Alright, well, this is a progress update. Let me just move this light out of the way. You can hopefully see that things are pretty well tallying. We've got the flash from Nephilim Penny, and we've got the yes that comes up on this screen here. What I'm looking at is the minimum and maximums from the LED into the analog port on the microcontroller. And yeah, while I've been developing this code, there's actually been a thunderstorm outside, so it's been quite cool that way. It's not 100% right yet, but it does seem to be going pretty well. Well, as it turns out, there was a bit of an issue. What I was doing was within the loop of the code, the stuff that goes round and round, I was doing both the sampling of the signals and also the display to the screen. Now that wasn't going to work because each pulse is only 5 or 6 milliseconds long. So I had to take all the code out of the loop part and just have the sampling in that section, and that is what eventually made the code work. Another change that really did work out well was because, well, the LED was very rusty and there's also a lot of dirt on the circuit. So when I started to tidy that up, I thought, hang on, I won't go directly from that LED. I'll put another LED in series with the output. That really helps. And it won't have escaped attention that I'm doing this on the work table. At first I completely forgot about the weird running, and so it's actually helped me to realise about the code changes. I've put this on a tripod so you can see each flash, and that's because now the code is 100% reliable. Basically, I just stripped out everything in the loop section of the code such that it would only do the counting, it would do the checking for each pulse, and then I would call the screen area itself of the code as a little subroutine to update it. So that could take a few milliseconds to do. What we're not doing is missing the 5 or 6 milliseconds that the flash takes. And there we are. It'll do 100 out of 100, 500 out of 500, and 1000 out of 1000. I've made sure to check this over hours and it's absolutely rock solid. So this is definitely version 1 now. One thing that's happened while I have been testing the code is the new magnesium ribbon has arrived. You can see the difference, can't you, between the two. There's the one I was using. That's the new one. So that is what over a decade of sitting around does. What I had been doing was to scrape off this old stuff. I'll show you it nearer to the camera actually. I don't know if it'll focus or anything. Probably not. But yeah, that's not too bad. You can see how black that is. Ah, that oxidation there. So yeah, I used to scrape off, sand it off with a fine sandpaper, and then use that, and off it would run. But that could have been part of the running problems as well. So what I'm going to do is use a piece of that. All the new stuff now for the future. Definitely not use that. Oh, and of course, if I disconnect the circuit, such that we just have the Nephilim Penny circuit there, it will continue to keep running. So that's another main aspect of this. I won't be wanting to use the circuit all the time, only during storms and such. But yeah, the circuit will carry on running like it always ever has. So that's a great little bonus too with this design. And so, finally, Nephilim Penny is ready for storm tests, and it can join this one here. And I can collect some more data. So hopefully, the approach there, the code and methods have been of use to a couple of you folks, and I'll hope to see you in another video.